Welcome. So today in conversation with me, I have a wonderful author and he has written a wonderful book. So with me, I have author Katamneni Gopichand and he has written a wonderful book, Contemplations and Undertones. So it's such an honor to have him here with me personally so that we can discuss a lot about this book. So let's go directly to the author and talk more what is inside this book. So hi, welcome, and thank you so much for joining today and here with us talking about this new launch of the book, Contemplations and Undertones.
Thank you, Miss Manika. First of all, a very good evening, and thanks to Wings Publication for really honoring this particular book with the Golden Book Award. Like my debut book was Transformative Threads for Success, for which I won the Golden Book Award as well. And it's a great pleasure and honor to really have a one-to-one interview sort of thing with you.
Thank you so much. And moving towards the book, what this book is all about.
This book, Contemplations and Undertones, is basically a multi-layered poetry volume. When I say a multi-layered poetry volume, it's not just living with the reflections there, but it's like living with the raw reality and how do you question your reflections. So there are two things. If you see the title of the book, Contemplations and Undertones, contemplations is a thought process and undertones is beneath the surface. So it's like we exploring beneath the surface is also very important. The world within us and the world around us.
Wonderful, wonderful. So from where did you get an inspiration to pen down these topics?
Yeah, this topic, when I chose to write about contemplations and undertones, it was a very natural thing that, I passed through many experiences. Likewise, I've also witnessed many of experiences where people around face. So that inspired me to write something, and also some realities like, from childhood, you pass through adolescence, then you become a young adult, then you become mid-career professional, then you become what I can say is a true family person. And as you grow older, you come to understand the reality much more than what you were at the early stages of life. So all this has inspired, and above all, my greatest inspiration is my dad. And he passed away last year, so I thought, I'd also write something about my father.
Mm-hmm. So I would assume that basically day-to-day scenarios and all the life things, you are taking an inspiration and then penning down in terms of verses and in terms of poems.
Yeah, it's that's how it's like. I always carry an idea book. So when I sit in the space, when I get a beautiful idea, I just write down a few words and then articulate it into a poem, which carries an emotion and also which carries some reflections. It's a poem somebody can feel from the bottom of their heart. It's not just the words or the literature part of it. And if you can just see that, it will be more of the free verse style. I don't claim to be the greatest poet of all the times, but it's like I get connected with the true emotions of people. And I could get some very good feedback from the readers who carry a lot of wisdom, and they called me up and told, like, this particular volume of poems is something where we are really experiencing and traveling in that space, and I can name them also if required. That's the point. So it was really a great point of satisfaction to me as an author and then as a poet as well.
Right. So something can I get out of this book? One of your favorite verses that you would like our viewers to know?
Oh yes, everything is my favorite in that, because every poem was like a true jewel embedded in gold. So one of the things I would like to say is about my dad. So I wrote a poem called My Dear Father. And, parents play a prominent role in anybody's life, and truly honoring them and living to their expectations is utmost important, and understanding their efforts and contribution toward the family matters a lot. In that verse, I just wrote Dad, you are my finest toy. All around was joy and joy. And you are the captain of the ship. And as long as you were there, the ship was very sturdy. The whales and sharks and the turbulence of the waters couldn't even shake this ship, and it was truly sturdy. But as I moved forward, you gifted me with a lot of responsibilities, and you took onto a small boat. And when I was traveling in the ship, one day I noticed that you were drifting out of my sight in a small boat. I was screaming, ahoy, ahoy, but you didn't turn back. But still, the anchor is the one which, a metaphorical resemblance, the true love which holds between father and the child, that would be prevalent, and it would be there in the ocean of love forever. So that's about father. Then the same way, then I thought I should also reciprocate for moms, for their dedication, their sacrifice. So that was a natural poem which came out from my mind and my heart. Like, Mom, I really do not know how many times I was to die in your womb, but you never turned it to be a tomb. You breathed life into me time and again, and today what I am is because of you. And if God permits, let me be your father to serve you again, to repay the gratitude. That way, that's another interesting poem. And the radiance of womanhood, probably I can dedicate to you as well. Like, before the dawn, like, she rises without the shrills of alarm or the ringing of the bells, because she has a myriad of responsibilities, and it is always her first priority, and she never settles dues. Like, her love is the currency. She experiences a lot of barbs called as insults. So I've used a poetic word called barbs, and she never releases the pressure, and she's mastered that art. So this is a very beautiful experience. And having used the AI recently, it was my own lyrics, and I just put that into the AI. I could see, that song was such a beautiful with the prompt that I've given. It was amazing. And that was really heart touching. And likewise, I've also written something for the youngsters, where marriage has become something like, what I can say is, youth do not want a long-term commitment, gamophobia. So that is where I just written a 3-layer thing, where the marriage, the importance of marriage, and in between, the mid layer was, how youth are getting, distracted with the very essence of a long-term commitment. They want to just run away. So that's where I just mentioned something very interesting about that. So once if the readers experience that, it would be a very big enlightenment for them. So, and apart from this, I've also written on the societal front, call it corruption, then call it the corporate world. Then I also touched on the metaphilosophical area. So on the metaphilosophical theme, it was like, who owns the universe? The unseen hands. It's much about the God, whom we see as the one who makes the universe dance. So in that, these verses run into many pages. Like, that is again multi-layered. One is, I talk about the verse which has a meaning. The one I talk about the universe, which is a fact. Then I talk multiverse, which is a possibility. So this is how it is. And to your question, every poem is quite interesting. And teachers, I say, they've been the real architects of my future, probably anybody's future. So they're equally important as parents, because today's youth, they float away here and there. So it is their directions, and they being the oar to guide the direction. So that's where teachers play a very prominent role. And on any given day, this book, the Contemplations and Undertones, would be living as not a virtual personality, but a reality. If somebody can experience it, that's the biggest satisfaction as a poet I would be having.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, talking to you, it seems like you have covered different directions and different scenarios, and then have compiled it under contemplations and under.
True.
So, because I was just going through your book and I could see that there are such topics where it is difficult to even think that a poem or a verse can be made out of it, such as something like artificial intelligence, something like mobile, right? So, do you want to put a light on it, because it's interesting to find that in a poetry?
Yeah. As you truly mentioned, it's really a big challenge for a poet to attempt on certain things like this, particularly the artificial intelligence. So in this context, I have written on the mobile, the glorious machine, where I could say that, this is a palm-sized machine which can bring the world into it. And at the same time, when we catch this particular thing in our hand, we forget about our surroundings. Call it spouse, call it children, call it parents. And we always have a dialogue with this particular digital tool rather than, having a one-to-one communication, the real conversations, truly. And here I have written something very satirical where I say, in the modern world, the prisoner is in the jail, the key is with the jailer. But with the mobile, you hold this instrument in your hand, you have the digital key, and it is like your self-imprisonment. So it's up to the readers whether they want to live in that space or they want to be connected to the nature and people around. It is definitely a very big invention and the gradual innovations that has facilitated the world for more, what I can say is a greater connections. But when you get lost into this and you forget the very existence, and when you rely on this particular digital tool, then I don't know if it is your true companion. Then everyone has to really, have a second wedding, I should say, another wedding card. Like, I'm getting married with my mobile, so please come and attend. So that's how it is.
Nowadays, it is very relevant to say that you are not married unless you post it on your social media.
Absolutely.
You're still not married
You're
because
still
you
not
haven't
married.
got the approval of
Absolutely,
posting it on social
absolutely.
media. So yes,
Yeah.
everything is there. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, from the real life topics also you have picked up and is thought about it.
And very interestingly, Ms. Manika, like I've written something about communication. See, communication is a poem which, when I wrote, it was like some of my colleagues and subordinates, they always ask me, sir, you're very good at communication, but somewhere we lack. What should we do? Then I told them an easy methodology, and some of them have really come up very well using that particular technique. So this book, Contemplations and Undertones, gives a lot of techniques like that. Read the poem, translate into action, because human beings are very talented. And translating those thoughts into actions can really yield wonderful results. Like I can say, communication is like this. You have, unless or until you have a lot of flowers with you, you can't really weave a garland, right?
Right.
So you pick up a flower, you again pick up another flower, weave it, and keep on doing that. You build the garland. This garland is a communication, and don't ever try to judge yourself whether you are an introvert or an extrovert. It's like, you live in that particular space, and the gap between the flowers is the divine space and the divine pause. So there you need to reflect on yourself, like what next I need to really pick up and deliver. So building this garland is communication. There I wrote, Ellie, I want to speak. So when I say Ellie, it was, one of my friends called, so she lives in Mexico. So I thought I'll use her name, Elizabeth. So in short, it was like, Ellie, I want to speak. Then she says, see, it's not that when you sow the seed, immediately the plant comes out. Wait for your time. So you nurture it. Only then the plant grows. So that's how it's like you build your communication skills. Right. That's how it is. And again, there's another poem called Self-Defeat. All this would be very, very good for the students, the young students probably who are in the +2 and pursuing their graduations. Otherwise, even with the, what I can say is the school-going students, Self-Defeat is a very good poem, Miss Manika. You want to wear a winner's hat, but a cat within, right? It's not very meaningful. It's very meaningful. uh, you need to, have a hope that should be, helping you as the real rope or to climb the ladder towards success. And alongside, with deep pain as a poem, when we see the global scenarios these days, it's really horrible, like wars in particular. There I have written, wars leave scars, and some nations love to have that scar deeply etched, right? So there I've written, what is that you gain when everything is lost? And in between there is a lot of deep essence, like uh, you lose your kin to win, and that's what is happening.
Right. So very apt for today's.
Yeah, it is, it is. And everywhere we see a lot of turmoil, confusion, chaos, the greed for wealth, the greed for power, which is not good on any given day for the humankind, the mankind, which has flourished through centuries, and we want to have the devastating effect of war within no time. What we built for years and years, I know today's advanced technology can bring that destruction if we do not change our mindsets. This is one important message, I wanted to convey through my poetry volume. And again, about the elections. Today, if you see the superfluous, the grand glory of elections, how costly it has become, and how a voter is lured with a minimum compensation. So I've just put there as one point to the voters, like it's one vote that can bring a big difference in the society. And your vote is very valuable. So in that context, also I have written something where it was a satirical poem talking much about the politicians, not of all the politicians, but few of them, where I have compared them, they're the greatest magicians, the art of deceit, and a perfect diction. All these things comes as a poetic flow, and it was a very natural flow. I don't really put great effort, because as I told you, my own methodology of weaving garlands, so I'm a master in that. So give me some words, I can just put up a little small poem, then I work on it, refine it time and again, then finally a true thing comes there.
So when your reader picks up this book, what is the final outcome and what would be the takeaway for the readers?
Every poem would really inspire them, make them to sit with their reflections, not with comfort, but with greater discomfort, because they need to fight with the raw reality, as I told in the very beginning. They need to understand both the superficial thoughts and also something beneath the surface. When I say that, it's like the conscious and the subconscious to work in tandem, and to really come out with a plan of action. And this particular contemplations and undertones, if I had to really write a non-fiction book, every poem can be really elaborated into a 200 pages text, honestly. So it's a very crisp thing, and it's my earnest request and plea to the parents, the teachers, to really instill these values in every child. And the future is today's children. So this poem has all that, and it also carries a lot of emotions, and it also carries certain things, like call it simplicity. This one poem is Manika, where I wrote about simplicity. It's like I just took the phrase simplicity and explained the entire thing on the simplicity. The greatest city which doesn't show off, yet it shines on its own. So likewise, I just articulated on the simplicity. Then there are some addictions, how to keep away from those addictions. The liquid truth. The liquid truth is like the alcohol, where, it was a very natural thing where one day when my dad passed away, my closest friends, they told, see, Gopi, would like to sit with you, you'll be. I know it was not going to make me happy in any way, but as a social obligation, I just went there. Then I just wrote a poem on a tissue paper there.
Okay.
Seriously, on a tissue paper. So there I could understand one thing is the glory is, you once you're the one who are hosting the party. So you order a toast and you start to boast. And you forget the reality. Sometimes the purest of the things becomes sin when you are in the different state. So likewise, I just articulated that particular poem, and then after that, when I went home the next day, I thought for a while, what's the true measure of life? It's not the real estate that we do; it is the real state of living. So no president is also permanent resident in this world. Ultimately, everyone has to be, in that space of 6 or 7 foot, right? And the master and the slave in the same graveyard. So that's the true measure of life. So now I think I could answer your question very well. Every poem for all different ages, they can experience, they can feel, they can transform. And as I mentioned in my last podcast, speaking authentic is good, but living authentic matters. So once people get used to this conceptual approaches and implement their methodologies, either through the poems or through the nonfiction books, I think that will be a very good way forward. And also very recently when I published another poetry volume called Rafting and Rising, that's also quite interesting. But because I don't want to really discuss about that book, but I wrote a small stanza, and the poem title is Left, L-E-F-T, left, comma, to be right. And that speaks a lot. Same way, when I authored a nonfiction book, Human Lantern, the Torchbearer, that's another thing, and that's a derivation of this Contemplations and Undertones. And the biggest takeaway is, while writing this book called Contemplations and Undertones, I rediscovered myself, I reinvented myself, and that's the biggest thing which I could achieve. And that probably has really brought me the greatest of the awards, called the Golden Book Award twice, the International Author Excellence Award twice, the Indian Glory Award. Then I've been a keynote speaker on the SHRM Forum and also the Global Leadership Summit. And the good news today is that both my debut books, The Transformative Threads for Success and Contemplations and Undertones, are being featured in the International Book Award, the American Book Fest, and thanks to Wings Agency and in particular to the one in front of me, Miss Manika, and also another source of inspiration, Dr. Kailash.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And you keep growing, keep inspiring the world. And it's always great to get a lot of accolades for your hard work, because you have been putting so much of hard work in penning down the book. And then finally, when the book comes up to the public, to the world, and that's one part of the achievement done. And the second is getting an award and accolade for your hard work. So how does that feel? How does that feel to be winning Golden Wings Book Award 2026 for your book Contemplations and Undertones?
Yeah, awards are definitely a matter of recognition. And in my earlier podcast also I told, the very attempt itself is winning an award. So I really appreciate all the authors and poets, even though they have not won the award. It is, they have already put a very courageous act of writing something, and writing is not that easy. I know authors and poets are sometimes unsung heroes, but you can make a value. You can make a value when all these things reach the readers, and not by force, by willingness. And let's expect like things will change. People will start reading books. People will gain and gather a lot of wisdom. They'll be learning a lot of experiences through reading. I know in this modern world of the digital age, everyone wants to make and happen and things happening very fast. And the attention span, I think very recently I've read it somewhere. The attention span of individual is not more than 12 seconds.
That's why we are not able to complete the reels as well.
Yeah, so it's better, humans have to reinvent. Yeah, the advancement in technology is very important, but staying creative is very important, because the artificial intelligence is the one that has been created by the most talented human beings. And contemplations and undertones is something which can make them much wiser. Wiser in the sense, you be an intellect for yourself, but living with values. Ultimately, the values matters, and the world to be at peace. One is everyone has to have their own transformative threads of success, living up with contemplations and undertones, light their human lantern to be a torchbearer in the long run, and to sail in the turbulent waters, the rafting and rising, that matters either for the individual or at the familial or the societal, at the global level. That's my message to everyone who watches this podcast.
Wow. So if anyone wants to grab a copy of this book, so where they have to go and how do they do that?
Yeah, if anyone wants to grab this book, just go to Amazon. It's very much there. Or visit my website. You'll be directed to a link there, or my Insta page. So the best way is to reach out through Amazon. They'll get it.
So viewers, if you want to get connected to the author, the link to get how to get connected to the author is in the description box. So you can go at the description box, click on the link, and it will be redirected to the author. And as said, if you want to have a copy of this book, again, the link is there in the description box. Please go ahead and click on the link. It will take you to the page where you can buy this book.
A small submission. If not, they can go to Google. They can type my name, Katamneni Gopichand. You can find my webpage there, and it would direct to the links, so they can really grab the book from there itself.
And again, I would like you to throw a light on the book cover. So what was going in your mind when you were deciding?
Yeah, you see, Contemplations and Undertones, I wanted this book to have a very real appeal in terms of the color and the contrast. You see a family here. You see a person standing here and a shadow underneath the water. So it's like contemplations is the conscious there and the subconscious inside. And this is all about the relationships. And the background is much about the meta-philosophical things. You see the moons, everything there. And here you see this particular thing as the life cycle, the life path, yeah. And here you see the gadget, a mobile instrument, and you see the nature. So it very aptly suits for something like Contemplations and Undertones. And this cover page was designed by me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's truly designed by me. I could take the help of my nephew by name Hemant. He also helped me. So it was around 11:30 in the night. I just pinged him. So he improvised on the design. And my family, like, my spouse Sujata and my well-wishers, they also helped me. Even my son Ishwar and my daughter Divya. They told, Dad, this is the perfect thing. Let's go with this. And my colleagues at office also, they told, yeah, wow, sir, this is a very good one. So then I just picked up this. And likewise, even the other books also, I just vet it with my well-wishers when I really come up with a cover page.
So what's next in line?
There are many in the pipeline, I can say.
Wonderful.
But it's not a forcible writing. It's the one, normally when I write something, I write with a purpose and a passion. If you have really gone through my works, and of course you have gone through, I always ensure that I write it with a blend of purpose and passion, which could be very good essence. And the quintessence also, I make it a point that the finest summary reaches the individuals. So in pipeline, I would like to touch base on some scientific things, the philosophical things, and very soon, you'll see a new dimension of the divinity. So that's a deep-sided thing. And apart from this, I would also write and contribute much to the corporate world, where I'd like to talk much about the turnaround strategies, which could really help the corporate world and also the professionals and the entrepreneurs.
Now, the last question that I would like to ask is, first is becoming an author. The perspective of the people around you changes, that, oh, wow, you are an author. And now becoming an awarded author. So do you feel any difference in the people's perception of you, in the way people are seeing you, the way people are perceiving?
No, this accolades or the appreciation that you get from the society due to a recognition, I still say one has to be very simple, humble, grounded, and not to be fake. Try to be real to yourself and to the world around. Awards definitely help you. They motivate you to reach to new heights, to achieve, to navigate to the valleys and reach the peaks again. But the true award is like you being recognized as an individual, and somebody follows that particular message that has been delivered by any award-winning author or a poet to improvise either for themselves or the family or the society around, and working toward the welfare of the entire mankind. Then that's the greatest award, and nothing beyond it. That's the real treasure, I can say. Yeah. So I hold that perspective of the perception and the perception of the perspective. So please live in that space of wisdom. Don't be ahead of the wisdom. Try to chase wisdom. Learn a lot of things from the wise men around. The way I still believe in my own bosses or my teachers, my parents, and some wise men around. So keep learning. It's a continuous process. So awards make you proud, but that pride should not really become two horns on your head. The more you're grounded, it's good, I think so.
So thank you so much for joining today in conversation about your book. And you have been an inspiration. And keep writing, keep inspiring the world, because the society at large needs people like you who can come up as a ray of hope in this
Absolutely
darkness and in this chaos.
right. And the ray of hope is in my rafting and rising.
Right.
Thank you so much, Ms. Manika, and I thank the jury. I know it's a very strict jury, and I also appeal to the authors to be very real and natural rather than bringing their sense from anything called artificial intelligence. Penning down your mind, your thoughts, your heart is very important.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.